Welcome to Curtain Call, and today I have the privilege of interviewing someone who I call my theatre mother, but also my second mother, Pauline Matthie, educator extraordinaire in the area of drama and theatre, cultural activist, creative in everything I do with hands, and the person behind many people you see and hear on the radio, on stage, now because she has taught for decades, Calabar High for one, St. Jago High for another, where I got the chance to be blessed by her gifts. Good day.
Good day, good morning, howdy.
Yes. Howdy
and
do.
thank you.
Howdy and thank you. This is really sweet for me, because you've been such an inspiration to me. You've impacted my life in such a major way, but I know also you've impacted Jamaica's cultural landscape and theatre and education in major ways. But before we get to you in front of students, let's back up. How did you get started in speech, drama, theatre, culture, the whole works?
Okay. I always give credit to my mother. Right. Grew up in rural country, rural Jamaica.
Where that?
At Seaford Town, Westmoreland. My mother was a storyteller. I mean, just the whole cultural background, our experience and what we had to do, lent to this whole storytelling. My mother was a storyteller. She would tell us all sorts of stories, nighttime, even sometimes to scare us. That's a Duffy story, a Nancy story, do good story, and stuff like that. We had to make entertainment for ourselves. So hence the folk songs, the ship sail fast, so many man on board while they boil in the pig feed, and the thing over the crang.
Crang, what crang? Remind me what crang for those who don't know what crang be.
Okay, crang is a way of smoking the meat. And it's like a stick thing that is built out in the outside kitchen over the fireside. Okay. So when that meat is well dry, you could just eat it. I mean,
so like beef, what kind of meat would be
most of it was pork.
Alright. I wouldn't have come for dinner, but it's okay. Crank to the thing.
Well, at that time, sometimes you would have goat meat or beef, but we didn't grow cows for that. Like you could have whole cow or stuff, but we had pigs, and that was one of the
ways
protein.
And, yes. So you're telling the story, you're making the food, ship sail. So when did that move from yard storytelling, yard performance to performing it in front of people beyond family?
Okay, beyond family, school.
Which school?
Seaford Town College School.
Okay.
It's a Catholic school, and we had a large stage, and that was why I had a sense of stage from very early, because you had a very large stage. At the time when I went to school, we had it was the Sacred Heart Mission, the Catholic. We had the nuns teaching us for quite a while. You had a convent, you have the rectory where you had the priests, and so we had a lot of visiting young upcoming priests. And on top of that, it was tradition to have a Christmas concert, a nativity play.
Okay.
So
So you're about at what age at this time?
Well, I went to school when I was 6+. I didn't do infant school, so I went straight to grade 1. Right. So from then on.
Also from age 6,
7, I was. But even before that, at home I was performing.
Yes.
I was always performing. I was always in Dolly House. I was always a teacher and the Sunday school teacher.
I remember you telling me that when we were at St. Jago that you always played the teacher role and not the mommy role, but we won't get into that today.
No. And so we had a stage, and I was always taking part and recitation.
Okay.
So that's what they call it then. And you would have Williams Wordsworth and Claude McKay, those persons that, oftentimes poetry was giving you a poem and to learn it, to recite it. And if you're good enough, then you'll be one of those reciting on the concert. And you were also prepped for when the Ministry of Education was coming in.
To show off the best students.
So I was always the person who learning my poems and being able to say without making mistakes. So
So you
I
have
think
good
that
memory.
I had a good memory at the time, and I think that's why the teachers would put me up front, not so much to save me, but to save themselves. Because yes, I remember mentioning this to someone, and he said, "Why did you read about it?" Siffertown, we had a lot of Germans, so I experienced racism growing up in school.
Tell me about that. At school or in the community?
At school, in the community it's more subtle, but at school, preferential treatment were given to students who were white. Yeah.
My father told me about that with his own Hanover experience growing up there. He was born in Bogor but raised there.
Yeah.
So you were the best student to show on behalf of the school, but you're saying in the midst of that glowing moment, you were also dealing with the injustice of
being black,
skin tone,
being black. Yeah, and from an early stage, I recognized that. And in order to lift myself beyond that, I said, look here, I must pass my exam. I must come no less than fourth in the class. I learned the poems. When everybody thought that nobody knows, and they call upon the white kids to say it, and they buffled and they can't, and they turn red, I was the last one to be called upon.
So
and then when you call upon me, then I knew it.
Sure thing.
I knew it from.
So you were setting a standard before you got to age 10 to say, this is what I'm going to pursue, because this is what I'm good at, and I'm going to use it to elevate myself. So you're raising your own bar from a long time.
In a way, I was in a secret way, because when I was learning the poems, nobody knew. Even at home, nobody knew, because
strategist.
I don't know how much a strategy. Because if I told a lot of people that I was very shy, they would say, "Oh no." But I was shy in that, to just come out and say, "Oh, I'm doing this," and show somebody else at home, "Yeah, I'm doing this." No.
Quiet confidence.
I went into because where I grew up, you have your little garden, your parents' farm around the house. So we had banana field, and so I would go in the banana field, cut some dry banana trash, put it down, lie down, and I've been saying it. Or when you go into the shop, because you had to go shop, I'll be there reading and reciting and learning the words. Sometimes you see some adults say, "Girl, what are you talking to yourself?" Man, I hope you don't answer back. If you don't answer back, you're good.
So the recitation, nativity concert, and then you went on to Cambridge.
Yes, but before I the Jamaica Festival speech competition
at Seaford College.
Yes, while I was at Seaford,
okay.
My first performance, and I think it was 75 thereabout, and the poem was given to me. I was introduced to Louis Bennett's writing.
Okay.
At the time, there was a trainee priest, and he came to the school, and he was over there. Nobody could, would come out, and he gave this poem to me. And actually, a number of us, but I decided to take it at heart, and I learned it.
What poem was this?
And this one was Rough Riding Tramp.
Aye, I know if I give me a piece of that this morning.
Rough Riding Tramp. I look at it and I said, well, it was the first one, and I went to festival. I got a silver medal.
What? On your first go?
On my first go.
Nice.
And that propelled me to Cambridge. So he said, but tap, 7 o'clock no gone? But something must be wrong. The tram cap must be last in way. What making time so long? And he go on to say, but the lady, the part of it that I used to love, he say, the tramp yard stop? I may heart stop beat. Jane, help me off quick, do. Cup on your face. Go away. You spiteful nigga sitting you. I go and mark you buck forehead and your corro face. I go and go beat me mama grave for you and put you to disgrace. I'm going to make you swell and bust like Sam Craven Goat Kid. Means the last money you going make tramp can run with. And as much you see, I think I was able to identify so much with it, because those are words, not that we had tramp car in Seaford Town in the country, but the words like, you spiteful nigger something. You hear that every day. Your buck, but farther your coro face.
So beyond the Claude McKay and the Wordsworth,
yes.
now you found words that were close to your reality.
Exactly.
So you had a connection.
So I had a connection, and right there now I took to Miss Lou, and she was my vehicle in order to, I did Evan Jones too, because I did the Song of the Banana Man, which was when I went to Cambridge. That was my first speech, which gave me, a gold medal. Not just a gold medal.
It was national gold medal.
It was the national Leonie Forbes. Leonie Forbes said it was worth a double gold. And I had Barry Johnson. So by then I had all of JCDC. Yeah, it brought thing, and I really dressed like a man in my father's old khaki, and nobody knew I was a girl and stuff like that.
In full character.
Right. So it wasn't just Louise Benny. She was one, but also other poems that you could dramatize.
Okay. So Seafood All Age, Cambridge, and then School of Drama. How did that happen? Because drama school, you went to study what I think you were doing directing, but no, you tell me the story.
In
so how you got to drama school?
Actually, I was encouraged, having gone to Cambridge, and so after school, I taught there for 1 year. Then I applied. Actually got into Bethlehem Teachers College, but then, didn't say much because I had applied to drama school as well. And I think the year before that, 79, I went to a workshop, actually. Because by now I was coming and I was performing on Ward Theatre, National Finals, yes. Met Barry Johnson was looking out for me, encouraging me, saying, yes, you need to come. Actually got a scholarship, a little bursary, from the JCDC. And I decided, this is where I want to go. Having met Trevor Neern, at the drama festival. So I said, this is because
he was working at the festival commission at the time.
Yes, at the time he was, I think he was the, director of drama.
Okay.
Traveling the whole island and stuff like that. Coordinator of
It's
drama.
funny, I'm hearing your story, which some of it I know from before, and I'm realizing there's so many parallels with us. With the scholarship to drama school, and scholarship to drama school for me, but we're not interviewing me today, we're talking to you.
Right.
So you got to drama school coming from Westmoreland, the hustle and bustle of Kingston. Did you at any point did you find any challenge with maintaining your passion about the dramatic arts? What were some of the challenges you may have faced as a student at CTC at the time, Cultural Training Center, and then also the rural to urban adjustment?
There wasn't much challenge in that. I mean, most of the challenge would have been financial, because it's like you take the you call it now, student loan, and then you have to.
Student loan was around from that time.
Oh yes, student loan pay my school fee. And then you do every other little thing. I was passionate, and not only that, because I went at a time when drama school was at its peak, rich. It actually was catering for the Caribbean. So we met people from Trinidad, from Guyana. We had students from all over the Caribbean. And not only, most of us in my year were from rural Jamaica.
Wow.
Michael Nicholson was from
Westmoreland. Yes, from Westmoreland too. Yes,
he was from Westmoreland. We had Sharon, who was from St. Elizabeth. Peter Heslop from Portland. We have most of us. Lorraine Murphy from Portland, St. Thomas. So we connected, and what it gives at the time is that we were able to say, this is how we do it in Westmoreland. This is how we do it in St. And then this is how we do it in Trinidad. This is how we did it in St. Lucia. This is what it meant. At the time when we have the esteemed Dennis Scott. So I, in a way, was very blessed, because I think this Cultural Training Center was in its peak, where it was not focusing so much on the academics, but the performing arts, and bringing out people and bringing out the whole Jamaican sense of identity, who we are and who we should be, and how we chart our path. So, it was a rich, very rich time. I mean, there were times I would say when we didn't have lunch, we didn't have lunch, but it wasn't something we sat in a corner and said, oh boy, we're hungry. Oh man, oh, it's dancing, it's drumming, it's recitation, so we never missed food. You know, that was food for us, you know,
Food
that
for the
was
soul,
food for the soul and the spirit. Actually, yes, for the spirit. Because it was then that you were asked, and Dennis Scott in his wisdom would try to get from all of us what was unique to our experience, or country, or experience. And Tom Cross, through community drama, we were able to go out and we express, okay, this is it. This is the story. Community drama, we're going to solve the problem. We're going to look at, so, and it was so
Community
rich.
drama, theater for the people, by the people,
By the people, with the people, right.
Right.
So that was one of my strong area, because I was always identifying with my own experiences. My mother being that storyteller, and then I could see. Funny thing, I tell you, before I came to drama school, I wrote plays. I was writing after a while. Of course I was.
Come on, tell me what about
So
there.
I remember we wrote this play, and we did this whole night. I mean, the whole stagecraft, and this person died. There was this other teacher, because when I went back after finishing high school for 1 year, I taught. So this other teacher, and this woman was dead, and we had her playing dead on stage the whole time. You know, but we got some silver and some bronze. We didn't make that. And Trevor wanted us, but we say it was too many people in the play. We had
to coordinate to take the town.
Yes, we had this whole night thing. So even when I applied for drama school and I went.
Did you have your parents' support?
Oh yes, my mother and
Okay.
my father, because it was one of my whole goal as a child to make my father feel proud, my parents. According to them, they said, you make my head spell. Yeah, you know, that kind of thing. And I wanted always to bring pride. And not just that, because you're dealing, in a way, I suppressed it. It just, after a while, I realized that it was a driving force, the fact that you were made to feel lesser because of your skin. I realized I was pushing to make myself known, and the black soul,
to break against that stigma that they would have had about your skin tone. This was your ammunition and your weapon and everything.
in a way, after I get support from everybody in the community. So even there were
the community star, seafood star.
I mean, black, white, everybody. If you call it, but at the time, my pet name was Paulette. So if they
Paulette, Pauline reached Paulette, no.
Why? That's a long
different
story. Yes, it's a long story. But if you say that, if someone see me and say, Paulette, I know that Seaford Tom, right? And so they would be listening. While I was at drama school, they were listening, because in order to help myself going through school, I was doing all these little APIs,
radio drama.
Drama. Oh yes, I was a female voice for a long time.
API is a pre-runner, the forerunner to
JIS, right? And I would, every time they need, especially for cultural time, like Heroes Day, and they need all them little tacky voice, I would be the one to pick, because I wasn't getting more than $5.
But $5 equal
$10.
You know,
$5 could pay my bus fare for the week. So it meant a lot. So I was going there, and they would be listening, because I grew up listening. That was one of the things that I cherish, and really, although at the time I was poor, but I never considered myself popularized, because but we were listening, and all that listening help you, So we had to listen to the radio. So people were still listening to see if they hear me on the radio. And when I go back, they say, I heard you, man. I heard you. I hear you saying XYZ. And so you were like a beacon after a while.
What I'm noticing, though, the connection of the spoken word, or the through line story of the spoken word, from the recitation days at Seafood All Age to, of course, JCDC, but then now radio drama again, the way in which you were able to use your voice to make words and characters come alive, that seems to have been like the foundation of your your work as a creative genius, as a creative person who impacts the world. So you finished drama school, and it sounds like you wanted to do teaching from before because you applied to Bethlehem Teachers Fund
No,
as well.
yeah, well, you have to do something. I mean, I was always a teacher in Dallas
Ah,
House.
yes.
So that was the next step to go. But then I said, drama school would have been ideal.
Mhm.
And then I got through. Yeah, a thing that I never finished saying was
Go
that
ahead.
when I went there, I was writing plays,
Mhm.
never understood the whole thing of
Structure.
the structure and everything. But when I went and I started analyzing the play, all that were there.
So it's what you
It's
call
like
that, innate.
right? So I was imagine I didn't know it, but it was right there. So it's
It's a God-given gift then, and the recitation was the first key to unlock that story. Well, your mother's storytelling was the
Oh,
first
yes.
key, and then the recitation opened the next door, and then the writing, and it continues. And before we get to the teaching part, you met a handsome visual artist at CTC called Michael, right?
Oh, yes. So that was 1981.
I should be
Right?
about a year.
Oh, yes. And we took the bus. I think we were on the bus from Halfway Tree to Eureka Road.
I know Eureka is, but that I can't
Yeah,
remember now.
Eureka is like where one of those theater. I think the cinema.
Okay.
I was Regal, I think, was right there.
Okay.
And right. So instead of going into Crossroad and walk up to CTC, sometimes we come off there, go to the little stick road, go up, past, I remember that.
It's all right.
Old Hope Road there.
Okay.
And yes, Old Hope Road and go to,
Okay, I
and
think
go
I
on
know
Oxford
Oxford
Road
Road.
there and go through some little, the police training
Yes.
thing or squeeze through and fence.
Yeah.
Because you want to, shortcut.
Yes.
Right, and go over. So the day I saw him on the morning, and he looked at me and said, I we end up coming off on the same stuff.
Mm.
And he said, oh, where are you going? I said, yeah, I'm a student there. He was first year, I think then. I think I was second year, then second year. And so we started talking, and one thing leads to another.
There.
But the thing about it, again, what was nice on campus, I mean, CTC was good because we had that collaboration with the art school and the dance school and the music school, because we have to go to dance school for movement. And then you could do an elective
Costume
and stuff.
design.
Costume design. My husband was very creative, very good. So he was contracted to do a lot of the billboards, like you see.
Like, we call graphic design.
Graphic design, but you had to write it with your hand, and he was good with lettering and all that, and very good thing that when you look out there, they say, "Oh, that's a Michael Matthie billboard. It's advertising one of the plays in drama school." So he came over, and then that's how apart from that, we had lunch hour concerts. Because I think when we do directing, you have to do one of those short lunch hour thing, and he would, our school on a whole, the students then would come over to drama school during lunchtime. I guess we all were going through certain things where food was not the most, the food for the soul was it. So a lot of times our lunchtime was used to watch a play, to watch a performance, You grab a bite afterwards.
Feeding the spirit,
I think that was focal.
Yeah. And perhaps, a lot of people refer to that period of the 70s, 80s as the golden era, but perhaps it's the birthing period. And there was a hunger to make a difference, a hunger to connect. Perhaps we kind of lost along the way, but that's probably a different discussion for a different time. But I brought up Mr. Matthie because the rest of the journey somewhat involves him, because what I recall when I met you in 1994 when you came to San Diego, and I've gone forward to come back, what was very clear for me was the collaborative energy of two artists who were also partners. Like Mr. Matthie taught me to paint, the whole thing of set design and putting something together. And we were learning as students stagecraft, because that's what you taught us. It wasn't just to do a play. We were also learning stagecraft from him. So I wanted to make sure that we understood where that connection and collaboration started. So left CTC, where was the first place that you taught?
Okay, I went to Calabar.
Oh, straight to Radios Road.
Yeah, I went to
Here,
Radios
sir.
Road.
Here, sir.
Yes, sir. The old boys was daring. That time
And he was very slim. She was very, very slim.
I was, yes, I was, I don't know if to say
Tiny.
petite.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was, and yes, it was a journey. Actually, I decided to do drama and because you get a double diploma because I had theater arts, diploma in theater arts and diploma in drama and education. It was one of the person like I, you know, I, I would consider a mentor. You would talk a lot because the third years they look at you because they're drafting you for their final production. And I was always somebody, everybody wanting to be in. I used to be in every play.
Wow.
Almost even to do set or something. You know, if I'm not acting, and Eugene would say to me, Eugene Williams, he said, well, fortunately, I was able to choose between directing or acting. My final. So
because you had strengths in both areas.
Yeah,
so
I
you
had
the
strengths,
choice.
and so I was one of the few females were able to choose. So I chose, and he said, I said, "But because I love acting." He said, "You can act already. Nobody have to show you, but you need the skills of a director. Plus, I mean, theater. You're not just going to earn a living doing theater like that. So you have to find a day job and stuff like that. So teaching is the other one. So we're doing a drama and education. So I said, okay, directing will help my students. So I chose directing. And then, so, you know, some of the stagecraft. So when you have to design your own set, when I did my major production, that was Blues from Mr. Charlie.
Blues for Mr. Charlie, right.
And Mr. Matthie was the one who was designing my set for me. Aye. And it's a whole collaboration there.
What was it like working with someone that you cared for creatively, outside of that,
I think I will always say that when you have like a spirit for something, because the art, he was very much into he chose painting as his major, which was the subject he got the least in.
Wow.
Yeah, he could choose, but then he chose painting. And then so to show that strength of a person, I had directing. And it's, I was always saying, I watched you and your husband, and I said, yeah, you guys started off. We never have anything but ourselves. You know, you're young, you had nothing but passion.
Yeah.
So the passion you have for yourself and for the arts, and the fact that you learn to respect each other. You respect the arts, right? He respect my area, I respected his area. So we're able to respect each other's ideas, thoughts, and so forth. So it just cement. Yeah, right. Rather than we pulling tug of war because one is in this, one is in that. No, we were able to combine so nicely with ourselves at the very beginning. We just having ideas and having ourselves. So we allow things to grow from there.
Ideas to grow, and I have two ideas that I call my brothers.
Yes.
Jesse and Michael. That grew from that. So collaboration is an integral part of theater production, because we will see even a one woman, one man show. There's so much collaboration happening in the back. You get to Calabar, you've done well, taught directing major, did theater and education. Boys, all boys. What from the Calabar experience? Because you had a stellar career as a Calabar drama teacher. Name known abroad, and then of course when you came to San Diego, we just make sure you up it up, because San Diego #1. But anyway, I know the barman them gonna come for me. But tell me about you establishing that Pauline Lawrence Matthie way of transforming young people into becoming not just artists but conscious of themselves. Talk to me about
because
that.
the consciousness of oneself, like I would say, I become me in the 70s, understanding who I was under that system that was there at the time that gave birth or gave a lot of Edna Manley. Hence the school Edna Manley was right. And at the time, Michael Manley. At that time, patriotism, understanding you would get all the heroes on Heroes Day, you get the buttons, and it was highly patriotic. Listening to all these radio serials, listening to all these
Radio
API.
serials like tell me some of them the radio serials from that time.
Oh, Marty Simmons, Life with Seabird, which I was in. There are quite a few. And then, you know, it made me, gave me the kind of confidence. And so I say, drama, yes. As I later said to some parents at San Diego who were worried that, oh, their children want to be doctors, and I said, there are so many skills, there are so many things, prerequisite that your child needs to. So drama was just a vehicle, and that is what drama in education taught. How you can use drama to teach the other subject, to teach the principles of life.
You know, I didn't teach as long as you, nor as long as my husband. But one of the things I've admired in both of you is that exact same thing. Like he had a series called Courtyard Theatre, where and by the third year of doing it, the kids were directing the kids, and they were. When I went there, I was not working corporate. They were learning human resource skills, time management skill, a whole bunch of technical skills in theater. Yes, but the people management, the process management that I know I learned from the San Diego drama experience. That it was great to see that kind of continuance, and I know the young men at Riddles Road would have benefited from that. I remember you telling me a story about making detention not a negative at Calabar.
Yes.
Tell me how you use something like a detention
right
to get the attention.
Because I mean, I was rehearsing after school, and I was not feeling good when they say, okay, you have to be one of the teachers to hold detention. I said, I'm rehearsing. What am I going to do? Because detention for many kids at that time, let them write 500 words.
I will not talk in class. I will not talk.
So one book. So I said, no, that's not. So you said, all right, you were rude. You want detention? Get up here. So while I was rehearsing, I would say to students, you are going to look at what they do wrong and tell me how they can improve.
Theater critics.
Right. So I made them take theater critics, and I gave them. At the end of the day, they would laugh and say, "Wow, this is the best detention." And they would, because they were part of it now, and then they wanted to know, how can I join the drama club? I remember one particular young man, Richard Holloway. He came through and he did so well that he was even doing his own play. The first time he came was because he had a detention into the drama room. So I used it, and we had, well, just as I did it, we had a garden as well. So part of this, okay, drama club, we're doing gardening, you're on detention, come help us plant flowers. Come, let's us pick out the weeds. So it was practical for them. It wasn't, and
torture.
It wasn't torture, and I wasn't reminding them that they were on detention. Okay, you had a lot of time on your hand to do something, negative. Now let's do something positive.
Rehabilitation almost.
That's what I wanted. That's what I think that should really happen. Not for people to be reminded so much so this I did. Yeah, they'll be reminded, but let them do that in a positive way so they can change. But again, the whole community drama experience of being part of the problem solving. Because that was one of the things I would whenever I go back to that, I would say, okay, your problem was you were talking in class. Now, what's your solution? Oh, miss, because this one was talking back and I wasn't the one. I said, what is the solution? So even then, we started improvisation. That is what was one of my strengths and one of the tools that I use. I always involve the students. I always started, what would you like to say? What is your problem? How would you solve your problem? So most of my drama was dealing with their problem or what they see as a problem. Hence, everybody loved drama because they get a chance to speak up. There were times when students would do some vicious things and they would say, Miss, it's not me, that's in a miss, it's not me. I said, of course not. But then I know children don't create in a vacuum. Some things happen. And there were times when I had to collaborate with guidance counselors to get deeper into what was happening because it would come out and it gives them a chance to speak about many of the things that we're going through. So
Process drama almost.
Process drama. Almost we, yeah, we had some, suicidal, a lot of topics that we had to deal with, and I mean, students were able to solve, to recover from much of that.
So it's process drama, a little bit of drama therapy, rehabilitation. But in the midst of that, you was winning up a whole heap of medals and creating stars. So talk to me about
Yeah, because then
that
again,
now.
everybody could identify with the story.
Yes.
Their story, where theirs, it was their story, the people's story. So the kids now start feeling good. Oh, I was one of the bad guys, and the teachers would come and say, "How you get that boy to do something?" And the boy is such a. I said, "No, because you don't see the other side. He didn't get a chance to show the
his full
other
self.
side." And I'm telling you,
You're talking, I'm getting goose pimples.
yeah,
Honestly.
and when we do that, then a lot of other kids that they would work with to do bad things were coming up and saying, "Why? If you can do it, then I can do it."
Yeah.
So it was almost a holistic way. And in as much, I don't know that I can say, oh, I have a script for that. It was, for me, it was part of what I think I was made for. And God, I always say that you won't see no Jesus come down from the sky and anything. We are God's hands and feet, and He's going to use you to help other people. And in that way, I thought that's how I was used to empower many kids. Some things that they know, adults say to me, she said, "Miss, you saved my life." I said, "Me?"
You're doing what I like to call empowertainment, and I know there is no such word.
I said, I don't recall, but if you say so, you say yes.
You changed my life. You transformed my life, even though I wasn't on detention. But before you get to where you came to St. Jacob 94, let's talk about some of the plays you did at Calabar High School. Can you remember any of them by name?
I remember Boyhood.
Boyhood. I got best actress for that we did at St. Jago.
Yeah. But
you wrote it at Calabar.
At Calabar, I started out with all boys because when I went, I had to follow in the tradition of the previous drama teacher, walking to Queens because they were
closest.
Yeah, the school that Calabar would join with to get the females. So after a while, I looked at it and I said, the first play we did, and I say, I think it was A Darler's Choice, being safe.
Your first time out.
Piece. And the girls did. Okay. And the boys were like, once they see the girls, they start to, I said, come on, no. So after a while now, we did a play the ball. And I said, all right, I'm going to write an all boys play.
So Boyhood was the first one?
No, it wasn't the first play.
One of the all boys.
Right. Yeah. And so you have all the boys in without playing any female role, because it was like a taboo at one point, who people feel that if you have the boys playing female role, you might be doing the unthinkable and stuff like that. So I started until I gained confidence and my boys understand me and I understand them. Then whichever boy who I think was strong, then I could let them play the female role, because then they were going to be harassed by others. And then when they
can't stand up for themselves.
No, they can't stand up for themselves, and they say, "Oh, I'm a macho boy, man. You play that role." And friend, I remember one day and then the boy finished playing the female. He got best actress, and then he pulled off the wig before the audience and said, "I'm a boy." Because everybody was saying he played roles so well,
So he's a very good actor. You did Boyhood at Calabar, but tell me about some other plays that you did at Bar. It's okay. Tell me about some of the students, if you can recall.
Okay, a lot of the students. Let's go that Calabar experience again. It wasn't just plays. Mm-hmm. It was speech. It was having that. Yeah, it was heavy on speech. It was heavy on choral speaking. To get a group
That's
of boys.
Where you know for all boys speaking choir come from. Huh?
Right, my all boys speaking choir. And I remember the first year I went, at the time, Mr. Earl said, "Mrs. Matthie, I need a nice choral speaking for prize giving." So I said, okay. The first group of first formers came to me. I said, okay, you are the set. And I took out the
And
plug.
that was it.
And that was it. And it happened to have people like Dervon Malcolm.
Who works on Power 106.
Oh, yes.
30 odd years.
I tell you, he started working there while he was
at Calabar.
And then we had Kevin Ormsby and a whole lot of them. We had like about 14. Even when my whole class, that class I had, I trained them. Then those who drop out, because that is how I would do. You doing it, and the thing about it too, as I taught drama, it was to look at every individual. Every single child had to come up and perform. So poetry was one way to do that. Every child, and everybody has to listen to that person. There were boys who were sweating. I remember once I visited America here, and I was going home in Miami, and I saw a boy who said, Miss Matthie. I said, what? He said, Miss, you saved me, Miss. And he was said, I said, he was another one of my drama teachers. He said, Miss, I'm working with the airport, and it was because of when you took me out and you insisted that everybody must perform. I was so shy. Miss, you knew I was shy? I said, yes, but we all had to do it because, while we're shy, we still, and once you do that, every child sees that he or she's important. He or she is important. I always try to get the class, if not like in a theater setting, in a circle, because that circle, child,
we all belong.
We all belong. We are all starting on that same level playing field. So you don't judge any student coming. So I would take any student, and we start something. So
Dervon Malcolm, Kevin Ormsby, I know of Andrew Broadwell, who is
Andrew was at the head of them, but Andrew and Canute Fagan,
who I think still teaches at Calabar.
I think he's Dean of Discipline.
Yes, he's Dean of Discipline. Yes.
We had even Mr. Moody, who you met.
Yes, Mr. Moody, who
I didn't
taught
teach
us in
him.
Diego.
Yeah, but I didn't teach him per se, but he liked what was happening, so he would come and say, Miss, what can I do? I'm technical man. Can we sound? Even to lift the set on. And he never stopped.
The community of theater.
Created
to make.
Right. So everybody was doing something. We were painting the set. Mr. Matthie was coming, designing the set, showing them how to use a brush. We were doing a thing.
To do the different shading from dark to light, to give texture from afar.
So the whole cast was doing sounds, costumes. So they were introduced to all the elements of theater. So it was that way. And then you find in those who weren't able to say they can speak out, perform, they were doing that, in a good way. Yeah.
So I know you won a lot of medals, and perhaps you can't remember all of them, but I do know that when Keith Nowell came to St. Diego in 92, I was in second form, and then he introduced drama. And then by the time you came in 94, I was no longer doing drama as a subject that a student had to do, because I'm in upper school drama club. But the conversation was about this. It didn't use the word phenomenal, but this different kind of person was going to come and teach us, do drama with us. I remember the first time I saw you. One, you didn't have low ear that time. I'm not to know what long ear, but you were sporting your close cut
hair. I mean, at that time, I used to cut my husband hair, and I cut his and he cut mine.
Sure, okay. Stab the barber, yes.
Yeah, we did. I started growing back my hair when Michael drew. He used to like draw, and he drew me with a hair way down. I said, Michael, I don't have, but he said, Mommy, but it wasn't all that short.
And this is son Michael.
Son Michael. So everybody in the house has man hair. So I said to myself, I don't know what it, let me.
No, I know why you started growing back
my hair, because he was just saying everybody, and he was trying women with hair. Yeah. And his mother didn't have. He said, everybody have
Faye Ellington in around some years ago, she started growing her hair too because her son asked her to.
Yeah.
And it's a big much she put there, but I remember her saying that she's growing it because he's like, "Oh, when you're growing hair."
It's how the image of how they perceiving women and stuff like that. But funny you say that. Mr. Nowell said, but Mr. Nowell was my first year teacher, improv teacher at
drama school.
Yeah, at drama school.
Oh, I didn't know he taught improv.
Yeah, he did, and he was vice principal when I was at Calabar.
All right, so St. Diego. Yes, Mr. Nowell is there, you're there. And I remember the first time meeting you. And the first play you did with us was Missing Link. Missing Link by and I still think the script in my mind. Pauline Lawrence Matthie, and you had your acronym PALM on there, and there was a palm illustrated. And I remember, because by this time, no, I would have been doing speech for 2 years, and I was a very little serious, borderline miserable little picnic, because I was taking everything so seriously. I remember 2 weeks before it was time to go to School Drama Festival, we still had not moved beyond scene two, because you were writing. Your process was you knew where the story was going. You had the scene scripted for maybe the first two scenes, and there was no script. There was no script for the latter two scenes, and I became so concerned. I went to Mr. Noel. It's like, we're going to School Drama Festival and we don't have this. He's like, trust the process. Or he said something to just say, relax and allow. And I was like, okay, fine, relax and allow. And then in the relax and allow, in those latter 2 weeks of learning to trust your process, I also started to find more confidence as a performer, because you cast me as the lead, Shelley. Little bad pitty, troublesome, not troublesome pitty to people, but trouble because her mother had migrated and she had become a barrel child, and that was the missing link. Yeah. And you use that story. That story did so many things for me as a student and a student performer. One, I saw how theater, drama, because when the theater in my mind could explore a social problem and show people from not just one dimension. I also started to learn stagecraft from that process, because you would ask us to be critical of our own roles and the story, ask for our input, and then Mr. Matthew would be there in the drama room weighing in, questioning, and then when we got to the part of making set, oh my God, I didn't know I could learn to do that. I remember I still see now the boxes could become the floor, and then you had the lattice work on the set, and then holding of community, because after a while now my mother's things started coming from home to drama room. My mother packed down a drama room from the same way. Yeah. Just I started to see how theater, drama wasn't just this one person going on a stage and doing a poem, but it was process. Yeah, it was trial and error. It was scripted, but trial and error. And then you had Kerry doing stage management. I think Kamala doing lights, and they were like a year below me. I started to see how okay, these are the people and the process. Is that deliberate in how you work?
Yeah. In a way, it was, because you have to be. I want everybody to be part of the entire process, not just the acting. When I started out, Calabar, some people who just feel, oh, I'm the actor. And I said, so who's going to do all the other work? Because it's a whole collaboration. So we all have to be involved.
Because we all had to make the set, even though we were performing. That was cool.
Right, because you need to understand. But back
and I don't want to make you lose your thought. That same approach of everybody has to do it, be part of it, is even how I lead as a marketing executive. That is not just the pretty things you see, but that back end process before we see lights come up, everybody has to play a part in there, and that's just that comes from, I kid you not,
because I said, after, you remember me telling you guys that you have to own this. It was part of, and that is why I deliberately always start with somebody's story. That whole thing of missing link. I was a form teacher at Calabar's, and I had to deal with a lot of kids whose parents were not there, and how they would come and how they would express themselves and how they would feel and how it would affect their learning. So most of the stories that I use are ones that we experience as teachers, students. And I would actually question them. What's your problem? How would you solve this problem? I remember when doing that missing link, there was a teacher there, Mr. Barrett. He wanted the mother to return. Oh, and that same young man who played the Mas Roland, he wanted the mother to come back. And when I investigated, his mother was in Cayman, and he really wanted her back. And Mr. Barry told me he would say, he remember when his mother migrated, and all he as a child could remember him say, Blossom Titty God. because he was still breastfeeding. So it was for him. He was said, he sat there, he watched you play, he cried, he would come to me and he talked to me about it. He said, you hit the nail on the head. So that whole migration. So it's again where I'm from, where I'm coming from, where I hear my mom sing. When I hear her sing a song and sing it in a way and the deep, I know she's hurting or she's praising God.
Depending on the spirit of the singing, the energy of the
energy.
singing.
And I always watch her closely and I would see and I would pick up on that. Because even when I went to drama school, I wasn't one of those who would ask earlier who would learn my entire script. No, that had changed for me. I wouldn't know my script sometime until 2 days before opening, but I knew my character.
Meaning.
So I started working from inside out. And that is why sometimes when you said I didn't finish the play because I was writing as a director in my head, I was seeing, and when I see everything unfolds, gradually building, then I know. Right. But then I wanted you guys to go through the process as well, because that process to understand, and it was all life. Remember that many time drama club meeting and rehearsal was a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
Nobody going out to perform and say, oh, come here, feel it. And then when you do it, how would you do it? He said, this is what I must do. How would you do it? How would that
what
character
would you do?
it?
And I learned the quote-unquote Stanislavski method from you. The same, how would you do it? What would you do if? The if thing that we learned at drama school. When you said about touching, I didn't even know about Verbert's story or Mr. Barrett. That's the other thing I learned from learning drama stagecraft with you, that it could impact people, because people started saying that they cried at the end of, especially when it came to Culture Fest, which is where San Diego celebrates.
Baby Daddy?
I wasn't there for that. That's post my generation.
Yeah.
But Boyhood, Missing Link, whatever place we were doing, people would come back to us as students when back in regular school and say this affected them. And so I started to realize that I could have an effect on people's state of mind or thinking or emotion in there. And I was like, oh, this it gave me a sense of, I don't want to say power, but a sense of, I wouldn't use the word purpose at the time, but a sense of
knowing.
Yes.
Knowing where you're going. It's a journey.
Knowing that I could be part of something that held up that kind of mirror, to use a cliche metaphor for people. And that is the power of drama. I know you can't remember your Calabar wins, but I remember some of your Jago wins, because I want to talk about that. So Missing Link topped School Drama Festival that year, 94, your first outing with us. That was my first Best Actress. And then the following year, you won Best Director at JCDC. Clayton Puran won Best Actor. I was nominated, but I didn't win. I won a couple of other awards. The following year, you did Boyhood at St. Jago. A play that had about 7 boys and 2 girls.
Yeah, because as
it was written for boys.
It was written for boys. I know I had to say, okay, it's a co-ed school now. Because I was forced to look at boys, and so boys can shine as boys.
Yes, and that was beautiful.
Right. And so now, I was trying and I was looking at the whole thing. And a lot of the kids, where they came from, they would talk. Drama was giving them a chance to talk about their story. And I use improv too, and every child has to perform his own little improv.
You know what I liked about Boyhood, apart from the fact that we won everything, is that play had somebody a year ahead of me who never did drama with you and wasn't in drama club. Devon.
Okay.
Devon Wint.
Yeah.
So it was like a kaleidoscope of different kind of students. I mean, I always wonder, how did you convince Devon? What about you that made Devon wanted to come and do drama? And then you had Chanel Dabrel, Clayton Puran, of course. So he and I were staples at that point. Senika played the girlfriend of the bad guy, which is Devon. Oral.
You remember them?
Remember
I do.
Oral. His name on tip of my tongue. He's a chef now. Was 7 guys or 5 guys, and that was my 5th form year too. So balancing CXC, but that was, I think that year we figured out that we could put on a production as students. Like the energy coming off of you and that process? Because apart from that, that was scripted to the T, but then we had the process work to do in rehearsals too. You asked us the questions again.
Oh, yeah.
Discussion about the why and
Yeah.
how and why would you do this? So, by the time we got on stage,
You were able to write your own script about something.
playing beats and moments.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because the little
Play the
beats.
beats. Play the beats.
The little beats were, I introduced that because that was one of my highlights. I mean, it was one of my reckoning at drama school when I understood beats, when I understood through line and so on, the little bits, moments. I remember when I was able to employ that in my acting, it's like I was surprising people on the opening night that would come out crying and said, I remember how many white people laughing, giving tears. He said, you bowled me. Oh, when I didn't see that character. Then he said he was used to be farming other kids, and he called me aside one day and he said, you work from inside out. I said, yes, sir. He said, fine, I know. And there were other people who were missing on their lines. Now, I learned that it was a technique because I never dry up on stage. Even I knew my character that if I forgot the line on the play,
the meaning.
I know the meaning. I could put a word in and nobody would say anything. They wouldn't even know unless they were following the script. And I try not to let it use that line that prompts someone to the cue. I make sure it wasn't the cue. You have the right cue. I said my first year experience teaching, I had a boy I actually taught math. Right, I taught math before I went to drama school for that 1 year, and there was a student he was giving so much trouble, but he was brilliant. He was above the other students in the class, but he was like the child that no other teacher liked because he was. And I figured out that he would finish, so I would let him be my assistant. And I would give him something more. I'd take him aside. I was even putting him by my table. So I would have him. But long and short is that years after I went to drama school, I was going home on the train. I was to take the train. Oh, yes, that was nice. And I saw him. And he said, at the time, Miss Lawrence, boy, them kicked me from school, because we never have nobody to advocate for me, And I said, wow. And he was telling me the story, if he met those teachers, what he would do to them. He was like a hardened criminal. He was so angry. He was taking out his ratchet, showing me and stuff, and how he would give them a telephone cut and stuff like that. And I prayed and I said, God, help me. When I enter teaching, if that child does not understand that I care, then, let me find a way. And so a lot of kids will see that. I said to myself, every term is new. I forget. It's not in the forefront of my head what you did last year. And so you don't judge so much. And you give them a chance to redeeming oneself through drama. I remember even at St. Jago, you remember we always drama school selling the stuff and stuff, drama department, selling. And I had my little thing there, and I leave a boy and I said, Miss. I said, no, I'm going to give him, because if I trust him, we used to play a lot of trust game. If I trust him that much with all that money that I have, he has to learn to trust himself. I wanted him. I was cognizant of the fact that he could take it. But then I said, I want him to learn to trust himself. He didn't take a penny. So it's part of that level of trust and believing in them. That maybe, I don't know.
Giving them the same grace that you would have wanted, basically.
I tell you, there's a story with one boy who was going astray, and I said, actually, he was so angry. He was leaving, the boys were taunting him, and he said, he was gone. I saw him, and I held on to him, and he said, let me go, miss. But he respected me, so he didn't pull. So I said, what happened? I took him down the drama room, didn't have a class, and he said, okay, miss. And he started talking. Started talking, and I literally heard a voice said, do not let him go. Wrestle with him like Jacob wrestled with the angel. And I took him there, and he cried, and and years later he came back. I was helping him with something, and he looked at me and said, Miss, thank you. And I said, yeah, man, I help you, with anything. He said, Miss, not this. Then I thank you, because I have had access to weapon, and that was what I was angry
Going
about. I
forward.
was going for. You remember you said how Pav that you didn't know. I had access, and I mean, where I was sitting, I said, "Thank you, Lord, that you
You're
led me
and then
that day."
and then you were obedient.
Yeah, because I didn't want him get in trouble. I didn't want him get in trouble.
Yeah, there are
So
there are
I
levels to
so
it.
they out there, I don't know what, but it to me is for that love, for grace and
Love for
compassion.
people is what you have. And as we get close to the end of this discussion, we're gonna have a part two.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to the Jamaica version part two at
Oh.
some point. But this love for people also impacted your work with Sister in Theatre Collective. And you did some I think, tell me about, was it New Zealand or Australia?
It was Australia. Actually, it was the third international playwright conference, and I think again Eugene was kind of instrumental in that because he had been observing my work over the years, and he said, "You write such." Because again, Sistine was the kind of theater that take people's problem and show it. And he said most of the drama you did were showing the kids what their problem and people
And
trying to find
solutions.
solution.
Yeah.
So when they wanted someone and he's to go with Sistine to Australia, he said, Pauline Matthie is the most best person. So I went, and it was good. It was a good.
And your work as in terms of problem solving theater also made it to the screen. Coming in from the Cold was on TV, and Hope Deferred that you wrote, which was I think produced by Media Mix. I don't remember who did Coming from the Cold. I was too young. But
Yeah,
Ronald Goship was in that.
Yeah, Coming from the Cold was actually the Planning Institute of Jamaica. Omar Davis had commissioned a play that he wanted to show the rural-urban drift.
All right.
And so they asked me, Trevor Nairn was the director and the executive director of the War Theatre, because I did that too. I did a lot of summer school organizing, War Theatre summer school.
Really?
Yeah, I do a whole lot of stuff, summer school,
so I know you had great impact, but you're telling me that impact is even wider than I even knew.
Even so, I did a lot of street theatre, coming with Claudette for Children First, UNICEF. I was writing for a long time. We were on the street, down into Kalalubed, all those ghetto area, everywhere where we need to take the whole story. So I was primarily person writing the script and directing. I was acting it. So we did that for quite a bit. Just before I came here, I did one with Claudette, was with some woman thing, and I did with some, yeah, she always come, my TV have to work on something. UNICEF want to show child abuse and how we deal with the problem. This is it. This is the story. And Mr. Matthie was the person transporting and doing whatever little set.
Technical theater, right?
Technical support we have, and we'll be going around all of Kingston and stuff like that.
You know what? I'm gonna, get to the question I want to ask you. But as you mentioned, Mr. Matthie, you're unique in such a way. You're a form teacher for a class, and of course, class trip is part of the responsibility. And you carry the kids to class trip, but we as a cast from Boyd are coming to rehearse while you're monitoring. You don't remember that, do you?
Yeah, I remember.
St. Mary.
Yes, St. Mary. But that
Sunrise Beach Retreat it was.
It was, right.
Yes.
I tell you, you guys remember. Because Mr. Matthie would say, that's a nice place. And he came with me.
Yes.
And, yeah.
And in the whole journey on that bus, he played Bob Marley. And then Mr. Matthie was telling me the context behind the Marley songs too. And so I left that trip knowing my lines and knowing, because we were rehearsing in the garden, but I also had a different appreciation of storytelling through music. So 48 plus years in, where next for you? Because now you're gone into designing these beautiful things. You're telling story with visuals that we can wear.
You know, one of my pet things that I have, well, this is a lot I learned from Mr. Matthie. We had transition into making stuff, and
but you used to enter the children costume competition.
Oh, yeah, the children, Mr. Matthie, children king and queen. So we did that. I love gardening. And well, we grew up in rural Jamaica. My mother loved the land, loved the earth, and so the earth mother. There's so much that when I don't know if I've ever said it to you, but when you understand the sowing of a seed, that I could pick up a little mustard seed, I know what a callaloo seed could look like. and you start from there, and we're sowing the seed together, and you see when it bursts, and you know the difference between that and the weed. I think all of that in a kind of spiritual way allow me to be able to touch lives that I never planned for, but it's just part of a journey of a development, because that's the whole thing. So I do my little garden outside here, plant ackee, scallion. So I do that. I did do a lot of plants. I sold during COVID and stuff, like, but people want it, so I do that. I'm doing beads, back to Matty beads, but I'm also looking at telling stories again.
Going back to the spoken word again.
I want
the
to.
beginning.
It's more than that, but there's so many things to remember. Nostalgia that I
There's
want
so
to.
many things to remember.
Right.
That's what she's going to start the first one.
So many things to remember. I remember when my mother, they would send you, I wasn't this big, because everywhere you go, you run. And you had to, because they spit on the ground and they said, don't let it dry up before you come back. And then you learn to run, and you understand speed and your responsibility and all of that. You make sure you check the money, get your chain correct. This was a whole accountability. And
so a life of sowing seeds in people's lives, and watching them come to life, not just your own children, but so many of us that are your children.
Right.
And we are grateful that you've been obedient to the spoken word in your mind from God, and obedient to telling the stories of others, and making your life being a story for us to want to emulate. You don't know how much I love you. God know. I don't think you know how much
I felt loved, because
you saved me. Nothing. I wasn't a bad pitney, so to speak, but just liberating me. As a young person.
And I know Kennard said it the last time I saw him, when he was saying, he looked at me and he dropped me and he said, Miss, you don't know.
You don't know.
No, I don't know, but what I do know, and it's part of, for me, a gift to touch. And I would say I got that from my mother. She was extremely kind person. She gave everything she had. I saw her giving everything, and I don't think I know it any other way.
I thank you.
Right.
St. Jago thanks you. Calabar thanks you. Jamaica thanks you for every word, every seed sown. And I'm looking forward to the next chapter, because you're so dynamic. I'm looking forward to see how you bring all of that together, that collaboration, and you have a whole community waiting to support you.
Yeah, I know.
Trust me.
And I feel
we want to subscribe, and share.
I feel I'm letting them down, so I need to get it.
Everything in season.
Everything
in season, and this is a new season. So you're not let down nobody.
Yeah.
We just wait till you're ready to do this other blooming season.
Yeah, you bring tears. I mean, Kabina, I love all my students so much. I mean, there are those who keep in touch, and you are such one of the persons that, it warms my heart to know that the seeds I sow didn't fall on dry ground. They really bear fruits, and I love that. There are so many.
There are two writers, living writers, that have influenced my writing, because I've gone on to win awards for songwriting, Actor Boy. You are one, and Blacker Ellis is another.
And I think I was at drama school when Blacker was there too. Yeah. And as I said, it was that energy of real pure love for the art that you felt, that even during your lunchtime, food wasn't, that was like after school, and then you grab a bite before rehearsal, because so much now we collaborate now. First form, second form, third form can get together to play some drum, do something, talk a story, tell a joke.
Yeah. So today we end curtain call, this curtain call chapter, knowing that every term is a new beginning. We should leave the past behind and a fresh approach, and approach each day as a seed to be sown in our own lives and the lives of others. The words of Pauline Matthie, writer, director, actress, storyteller, farmer, mother, teacher, just a wonderful, wonderful creative being. Much love and respect.